Hey guys, it's been a minute. Something very moving and a inspiring, and I will also say, bit of a traumatic way um, helped motivate this, like on a real level. And I really want my people to come out and comment about this. So I really have to get this out and get this off my chest. Um, and I battled with this for a little while. It happened on Monday. As it stands, I'm filming today on Wednesday, pushing the same narrative that I'm claiming we need to heal from. And I don't think it's the same thing. So I'm going to move forward and honor my intuition, honor that pain, and really alchemize this. So this is episode 53, guys, and I'm calling this one All Skinfolk Ain't Kinfolk. Now, I learned this probably all my life. We have been learning this. If you are a brown and black woman, this is specifically for people brown and black growing up in the United States of America. Experiences may be different elsewhere. So, to give a bit of history, I've been talking a lot lately, just videos. I don't know what that would be considered. Vlogging, I guess. Um, Talking about transgressions that namely black women commit toward one another, and just the mannerisms overall of women toward one another. I'm very interested in it, and I do think that part of my calling is to bring attention to things that we sweep under the rug. And I would say one of the most detrimental, and I would say things that are not spoken about, or one of the most detrimental and one of the most negated things, I would say, is the way black women treat each other. Now, this is a touchy subject, and I noticed that depending on how you formulate this conclusion, and I'm getting trippy off of my words right now because this is a sensitive topic, and I want to make sure that my point lands and it is heard, and it is not just like an angry rant, because it can easily go that way. But I think one of the main issues as to why it is such a systemic problem and such a raging problem in our culture is because we pretend it is not a thing. You know, I find that a lot of women will say, "Oh, I don't have a problem with other black women. I have friends and da 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 da." I'm not talking about friendships. I'm talking about the overall mannerisms and overarching of the sociology of how we regard each other when seeing each other in passing, when meeting each other for the first time, before you gather anything about another woman of color. Are we typically nice and supportive to one another? The answer is no. Now, to get to my point at hand, on Monday, I went up to Harlem. Now, I have a long-standing history of Harlem being a very concentrated area where black people specifically are mean to one another. And it's no question that black women are mean to one another. But that's neither here nor there. There was an event for a famous director, um, woman of color, that actually has a very relevant voice in a lot of the black shows, movies, and even like series that comes up on streaming networks like Netflix. I'm going to put some information about, the event so you guys can put two and two together. I'm not trying to name drop, but I was inspired by this director now turned writer. She's releasing a book, and this event was at the Schomburg Center in Harlem on Monday. Now, the event was great. so far. I brought a book, sat down in the front row seat, and was able to capture all of her reactions from her interview. I even asked a question that I feel like she answered very beautifully. However, after the cameras were rolling, there was a book signing. And I want to talk about my interactions and my experience during that book signing, because it was actually like simultaneously two transgressions going on at the same time from Black women. And it really hurt me. Like, I'm smiling and laughing to keep my emotions under wraps, because the more I think about it, the more my brain is attempting to make excuses for what happened to me. The more my brain is trying to just push it away and not speak out on a public platform about things that I know as a Black woman, I'm not the only one that experiences this. And I'm not the only person that it makes them feel this way. So after the one-on-one talk in the book, there was a book signing. Now, as I mentioned, I was in the front row, and I met another young lady that mentioned that she, was an aspiring author. She was from Atlanta, and I did talk to her very candidly about my experience in Atlanta and how women were not kind to me there. She seemed to be very surprised by that experience, and, said that everyone has a different experience, all of those things. So, to get to the matter at hand, when the author was leaving the stage, we were standing in the front. I had already asked my question. I was actually one of the last people to ask a question. And I'm not really sure if the inner turmoil started then, but this is when the funniness between my interactions with both of those two Black women started. Okay. So when she was getting off stage, the other lady that I met, that I sat down, she was also a solo goer for the program, said, let's just try to catch her before she goes outside. We can get her to sign a book, our books. Well, I didn't buy a book. I got a journal from her retreat. This is what the girl's telling me. And we can get her to sign your book. She'll remember you from the question. That was such a good question, like gassing up the situation. So the author is like taking photo ops on stage, and then she finally comes down. And when she comes down, she's kind of like, oh, the author. And she's like doing one of these numbers, like walking by, like giving us the shoulder. And I'm like, okay, it's awkward, a bit bitchy, but it's an awkward situation. So me being the light bearer and somewhat naive person that I can be when it comes to wanting to honor and regard Black women with the utmost trust and respect, I motivated the girl from Georgia, because at this point she was like trailing behind the author as if she wanted to look like she was part of the entourage. So I'm like, you're a lawyer, where's that grit? She's like, yeah, you're right. Let's just get on the line. The line was long, all the way out the door to the lobby. So we waited about 45 minutes online. And within that 45 minutes, we spoke about a lot of personal things. We spoke about aspirations. We spoke about goals. We spoke more about, women and our regard for one another, because this was primarily a Black event at a Black center. So right before we got there, we had an agreement, me and the young lady that I met sitting in the front row, who gassed me up to ask the author for an autograph, or said that she was going to do it and never did it. But anyway, she said, okay, when we go up, I'm going to take a picture. Can you take a picture of me and take a video of me interacting with her, and I'll do the same for you. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like getting all these angles for her, and they're embracing each other in moments they're talking, and I see the teeth. I'm like taking pictures, and she was getting ready to walk away, and I'm like, wait, let me get your picture with her. I take the picture. So I walk up, and I'm interacting with her. The girl has my phone. So I'm thinking she's taking the pictures, she's doing the video, she's doing the thing, right? So I'm like so frazzled interacting with her because I'm truly inspired by this author. She's beautiful. I mean, you know, her answers that on stage, I'm completely inspired. I'm like, you know, engulfed in her presence. So I wasn't really paying attention to me like doing a one-off pose to have a picture. So when I walk off, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really get a picture. Like, I got a video. I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't get a picture." So I'm like looking at her, and I'm like, "Okay, well, what did you get?" Now I'm gonna show y'all the video, the what she got. Do y'all see that? Like, so then after she shows me these atrocious takes that she took, she's like, "Oh, it's only like 3 more people behind us. Let's take a picture. Like, she's gonna remember you. She's gonna remember you from the questions. She's gonna remember you. Let's take a picture. Let's take a picture with her." So we wait, and we're like standing off to the side, just standing there, like, cause the line is like to the right. So when you leave, you walk off to the left. So we're like off to the left now. So it's clear that we already went through the line, right? And the last few people go, whatever. So a few times before, you know, the final interaction happened with the author, I like saw her like kind of flip her hair in frustration, like one of those, like, you know, long day kind of things. So I'm saying to the girl, like, "Listen, I don't think she's in the mood. Like, we should just go. Like, this is just too much." She's like, "No, I got you. Like, I got you. I'm gonna ask her. Don't worry. Like, I dropped the ball the first time. This time I got you." Right? So we walk all the way up, and she's just like, the girl, smiling, looking stupid. So the author's like, I'm like, "Hi, I'm so sorry I didn't get a picture with you." Now, literally, the author looks at me and goes, pretend this is her book. "How's the hair? Let's do this photo op. How's the hair?" To her photographer, like basically pushes me out the way, puts her book on the table where she's sitting, and takes a photo. So I'm like still standing there off on the side. I'm like, okay, well, you know, and they're like, "Oh, your hair looks great." I'm thinking maybe she's going to, like, you know, tell me to come over. Like, it's obvious that I annoyed her, but we, like, you know, I felt like she was like, you know, I see you, you see me, especially with the work that she puts out. I mean, all of her films are about being African American, being a Black woman in America, stumping stereotypes, you know, togetherness, community, support. So after she took the picture with the book, she stood up and she said, "Oh, yeah. Um, Now Tim has been waiting for me. Now that's who I have to talk to. I'm going to talk to him because he's been waiting for me." And she stood up, looked at me, and gave me her back. Now, mind you, all this time, the girl that gassed me up, nothing. She's just sitting there watching me shrink in front of this author that had no problem marginalizing me, not only in front of her entourage, which also consisted of women of color and non-women of color. And at that moment, like, kind of like when you're stunned, like that feeling after, like, if you've ever gotten fired from a job and you were not expecting it, like, that's exactly how I feel. Like, she took the wind out of my sails, the hope out of my preview, like, at all, for whatever creative spark, inspiration I had from her. And to put the nail in the coffin, the girl that put me up to it was still just kind of standing there looking crazy. So then we go outside, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really know how I even feel about it. And just to, like, solidify it, I have this woman's book. It's signed, and I don't even know what I'm really want to do with it. Like, I'm not inspired to read it. I'm not inspired to follow it, to keep it. But I say all of these things, and we're going on 15, 20 minutes to talk about why is this so prevalent in our culture. Like, yeah, she signed it and everything for me. And I'm like leaving out a major, major part. Like, because I'm so used to like taking my frustration and just pushing it away. So to continue and to finish this story, the girl that I met in the crowd that was also another fan of the author, um, stood outside with me, and I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, because when she did that, the security guards pretty much like kicked us out the building. They were like, "Hey, you forgot your book signed. Like, it's time to go." Like, I don't think a lot of times as Black women, when we are upholding ourselves, we are protecting our peace, we consider how we may come off to each other. And I think that it is one of the biggest disservices to us and our culture to understand all of the strife that we go through from other cultures and from other genders, and then to take that frustration, those stereotypes, those typecasts, and to take that out on other Black women is like one of the biggest transgressions and spiritual laws that you can break. And we do it every single day without a thought. And I think a lot of times it's a response to being treated coldly, not being supported by other women of color, and growing up being backstabbed constantly. But I want us to also understand that that does not make it okay to continue perpetuating this curse that is over our culture. Like, how do we go through the most? How are we the strongest? How are we the most resilient, but the most unkind to each other? When we are the people that should be supporting each other the most. I understand your story. I understand where you're coming from. It hurts me so bad, y'all. Like, that we do this to each other and we pretend it doesn't happen because we have friend groups. Our overall mannerisms towards other Black women that we are getting to know, that we have and establish a rapport for, is to automatically be dismissive, vindictive, or like spiteful. Like, what that girl did to me was spiteful. And I say that because, and I didn't complete my story because I wanted to get into the depths of why I think these things happen. But she did all of that gaslighting, left me to my own devices to be rejected by this author, did not support me in that rejection. It was almost like she got satisfaction from it. So when we were standing outside, before we left the place, she told me that she did not take public transportation, that she lived in Manhattan and that she would more than likely get an Uber. Okay. So I had already decided I was getting on the subway. I'm going back to Penn Station. It's a few stops. I need to clear my head. So before I could cry, when the tears were welling up in my eyes, I left. I said, okay, I'll see you later. It was so nice meeting you. I gave her a hug, right? So I went downstairs into the train station. Even in the train station, like, one of the security guards that was there was then in the train station. So that's how abrupt they was. Like, they literally kicked us out and like was coming out with us. But anyway, she comes down to the train station. The girl that I met that gaslighted me and did not support me and basically smiled while I was rejected and marginalized by another woman of color, right? She comes down to the train and she's like, Like, that's pretend that's my bad. I'm sorry. Like, I know I canceled my lift and I just like, you know, I just, matter of fact, let me stop lying. I'm giving this woman more credit. She did not say sorry at all. She came down and rubbed my back and she's like, how are you feeling? That's what she said. How are you feeling? And me being in my naive, wounded state, I was a waterfall. I just told her everything. Oh, is this, that? And then I started to cry. So by this time, the train comes. So we're sitting on the train, and she's like, oh, well, when I went to the retreat, not to make excuses for her, it wasn't a lot of interactions and all these different things. So I took a moment and I stood and I looked at her and I said, if somebody did that to you, how would you feel? And she said, well, unseen, I would feel invisible. So yeah, I can't make excuses. So we parted ways. Right then and there, I knew or intuitively knew that she probably couldn't be someone that I could trust. Because not only did you set me up for the kill twice, like you made sure the second time that the stake went in my heart, and then you did it again to make sure that I was hurting when you got on the train. Now, to solidify that, when I guess she got home, she said, hi, I got home, let me know when you do. I didn't text back. So then she texts back a few hours later like, hey, just making sure you're good. I didn't text back. So yesterday she texts and she says, hey, they featured you on the website. Just want to let you know, swipe. So, all right. Hey, thanks for sending that. Wondering if you have a moment or capacity to have an honest conversation. I'm still waiting for a reply from that text. So this is what I mean by the transgressions that we commit to each other as Black women and believe that there's no karma or there's no reaping what you sow, because, oh yeah, there is. And I think that it's very unfortunate, because I think the mindset that a lot of us has is, oh, she's just another Black bitch, ain't nobody gonna care. But it's like, what if that was you? Would you want someone to regard you like you don't matter? Or like, because in a world they want us to believe that we have the least amount of significance, it's okay for us to treat each other with the least amount of significance? How backwards is that? And I think what hurts even more with a lot of these interactions is that we are quick to tear each other down in front of other cultures and wonder why certain cultures feel like they have the right to just openly speak negatively about us, openly create stereotypes. But we all want to be involved in the act of Black joy, in the credit of Black inspiration, in the credit of Black trailblazing, in the credit of what it means to be Black and excellent. But what about those Black shadows that we have? Specifically in the area of how Black and brown women treat each other when there's nothing to gain. When it's just an interaction. When you just another Black bitch like me from the hood that just so happened to get a nice bag and is making a little bit of change. That's really how we regard each other. But we're so much more than that. We are trailblazers. We are eyes of the spirit. We are Mother Earths. We are the mood board. And we should not only acknowledge that, but honor that in one another. And we do that by respecting each other. What I would have liked from either of these women, if, who knows, it gets across. What I would have appreciated from the author is an interaction when I asked about the photo. Not when you were being paid on the cameras to look appeasing and smiley in front of everybody when it was all gone. Like, even if I was getting on your nerves, like, handle me like how you would handle someone that's kinfolk. Like, damn, didn't you just get off the line? Why you ain't take that picture when I signed your book? Or something like that. Like, it's understandable, with a certain level of success that you have to have boundaries. But the level of negligence that you showed to me and my regard to you and your craft was unwarranted. And that hurt. That hurt me. Always respect who you are and how you made a name for yourself in the industry that you're in. But I'm not sure what it was at the expense of at this point. If you can go to a event where your fans, where your people are, and you can comfortably treat someone in that manner, disregard them because you're tired or because you have someone waiting on the side. Like, that's your entourage. They're going to be with you for the entire night. That was my one and lasting impression of you. And you didn't care that you marginalized me, that you shrunk me down like that just because you didn't have the courage or the capacity to say, I can't right now. I'm sorry. I'm not taking any photos. But I'm really happy you came out. I would have respected that more than you just looking at me and completely ignoring me as if I didn't say what I needed to say. And to the young lady that was fueling the fire or setting me up for that kind of pain with no intention of being supportive and badgering me via text with no intention of actually being a friend, you're going to have your karma to pay for that. Because, like, who does that? Like, I'm seeking you out just to disregard you. That's that Atlanta shit. And that's why I don't fuck with Atlanta. But I hope that you guys took something from this. It's like 30 minutes, but we deep dived into this shit because this is crazy. And yeah, this is the book of the person. I'm gonna cover their name if y'all want to look into it. Yeah, beautiful. Never take that away from her. Very articulate. She even talked about getting things out of her. So I'm taking this from your book. I had to get this out of me. I had to let the world know that you are not a supporter of Black women like your work shows. Not all the time. And that certainly wasn't my experience with you. But according to your footage and according to the Schomburg, it was. But I'm here to be a voice of reason and a voice of truth. Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. J Fat. Ow!